ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येम अक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैर्तुष्टुवांसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति नः इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नः तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु ॐ शान्तिः 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 देवं नारायणं नत्वा सर्वदोषविवर्जितं परिपूर्णं गुरुंश्चान्गीतार्थमक्षामि लेशतः. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening for folks who have joined for the Gita Chinthana chapter 10 Vibhuti Yoga led by GVG, Venkatesh ji and Prakash ji. So over to you GVG. I'm going to stop sharing my slides. You should be able to bring yours on.
Okay, so let me share my screen. So you see the slide all right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Right. Okay, so we will get started. So thank you, Madhuji, for giving me the opportunity. So in this session, and then in the next couple of sessions, we will be looking at the 10th chapter, that is the Vibhuti Yoga. So in this one, so in the session 1, we will look up to the slokas 1 through 18, and then I will give a brief introduction on Vibhuti and then the first 3 verses. And then Prakash ji will talk about certain aspects of Vibhuti, and the Bhagavan starts talking about Vibhuti, then he gives first then a kind of brief synopsis and then stops. But then Arjuna wants to know more. And then so Venkatesh will talk about the Arjuna's request for even a more detailed explanation or a detailed version of his vibhutis. So with that, we will be starting today. In the next session, which will be the next month, so we have 3 other speakers. So the various vibhuti rupas are split over nearly some 20 shlokas. And then so Suresh ji will do one half of it, and then Saptarsh ji will do the other half. And then Madhuji at the very end with using some of the shlokas, he will provide a summary and a conclusion. So we will try to have in the following month the guest lecture. So we are still working on it. So we will let you know at least by the next session. Okay. So with that, let me start off my. So I thought I would just give an introduction of what Vibhuti is. For most of you, it may be obvious, but then for some, it may not be. So let me just kind of take this opportunity to kind of review it anyway. So Vibhuti is basically, it comes from the dhatu bhuti. Bhuti means presence. Bhu dhatu means presence. So bhuti. So Vibhuti is, V means Vishesha, Krishna, Bhuti. That is a special presence. So that is what Vibhuti is. It is basically Bhagavan's special presence. That is Vibhuti. In Gita Bhashya, Srimad Acharya calls it as Visheshana Karanatvam. Basically, he's like a main causality. That's what he's talking about. Causality is what in the Gita Bhashya Acharya was looking at. In Gita Vivruti, Sri Raghavendra Swami calls it as an Vishesha Bhavanam. Bhavanam, Bhava is also a presence. So it is another way of calling it. So that is the general definition of Vibhuti. So then when we talk about presence, then we have to say where, right? So one is an entity can present by itself, right? So that is called as a pratyaksha. In the case of Bhagavan, it is an avatara, that is his own rupa, basically. and then he is taking various avatars, various forms. So that is also in a way a vibhuti, and it is called pratyaksha vibhuti. Or Bhagavan, he has a special power, or that he is also be present himself in any inanimate or animate chetana or souls, or inanimate jada or an achetana. So he can be present as an antaryami, means sarva bhutani. Bhutani means is both, includes both. So he is able to do that one too. That is there. Antaryami form is usually hidden. It's not obvious from the adhisthana. Only you see only the adhisthana, but inside is the antaryami, and it is hidden, and it is called tirohita. So the presence can be both, either by obvious pratyaksha by himself, or as a hidden form, right? So both are possible. So with that, let us just move into some definition of vibhuti in this context. So when we say special presence of Bhagavan, then we say Bhagavan means, okay, then what is he, right? And how is he? So it's basically with Bhagavan means he stays by himself or with those in this ones with his own gunas, Ananta Kalyana Guna. So he has infinite gunas, and then each guna being also infinite. And then they are also called as Aishwarya in general. Presence means because the Aishwarya can be in certain things, it could be an enhanced knowledge. In certain objects, it could be enhanced strength, enhanced wealth, beauty, so on, right? All that auspicious gunas. The other one of looking at it is as a special presence with various forms. Some people are comfortable contemplating Bhagavan with his characteristics or attributes. Some people prefer forms, rupas. So they can, I guess, pick and choose, or could be even in a combination. So when Bhagavan talks about Dhyana Yoga in chapter 6, also called as Atma Samyama Yoga, because one has to control the mind to get into dhyana. So he talks about how to get into dhyana and what is the effect of dhyana and the phala of dhyana and all those things. But then to do dhyana, one has to kind of fix mind on something or some aspect of Bhagavan, right? That is where it could be either a guna or a form or a combination thereof, right? So in this chapter, Bhagavan describes about 77 forms or 77 forms in various adhishtanas. Okay, so quite a bit. Actually, that is, it looks like as though one form per adhisthana or by itself. But actually, when we also looking in the other granthas and everything, even in one adhisthana, Bhagavan can take many forms, myriad of forms. So there is a grantha called Harikathamrita Sara. It is written in Kannada by Jagannatha Dasa. It's basically a compilation of Upanishad, Pancharatra, and then all that Agamas, and then Puranas. So Sadagamas and Satpuranas. So it is a summary of all of that. In that one, so it is said that there is some thousands from 5,535 rupas in Saligrama, which is very auspicious. There's a special presence of Bhagavan in Saligrama. In fact, it is an eternal presence. There is no avahana for Saligrama. He is always there. And is there with it seems 5,535 rupas. And in Pratimas, like Rama, Krishna, Narsimhas, and various Pratimas that we use to do puja, he has taken 513 rupas, it seems. And in all puja padarthas or dravyas, that various things that we use for pujas, he is pervaded in that one too with 52,114 rupas, 403 in Gandha, 5,370 in one tulsi leaf, 161 in flowers, 13 in lamps, all the stuff that we use for puja. So he's present in those things too, with various rupas. So it is, one can imagine, right? He is perverted in the puja padartha, and he is also like residing in us, and then doing puja for his own and another form, like in Saligrama or whatever. So this is like a huge miracle that he is taking his own rupas and then doing puja for himself. In one way of looking at it, that is form. That is what, and another way of doing like a Aikya Chintana. We saw that when we are talking about in the Vijnana that Rasoham Apsu Kaunteya. So we talked about that one. So one can do in a similar kind of meditation with all these rupas and everything if people are comfortable in doing that one. So that is one aspect of vibhuti. When it comes to like residing in kind of adhishtanas, right, and then Krishna himself later on at the very end gives it as a summary, but then I thought that is a very good definition, and I thought people would benefit by seeing it upfront as to what vibhuti is. In Krishna's own words, he is saying, Yat yat vibhuti mat sattvam srimat urjitameva va tattad eva avagachatvam mama tejo amsha sambhavam. Says wherever, whenever you see an object with an astonish with the best of its kind, right? That means, let us say that he has given 77 such examples throughout in that one. That is the best of the kind. How come that one became the best compared to the same thing in their own category? That is because the Bhagavan chose to present himself in that Adhisthana with some special attributes, and that makes it great. So that is in general how we should look at this entire Adhyaya. I thought I would bring that one up front so that people can keep this in their mind, approaching and studying and approaching Vibhuti. Some more aspects of it. So we also talk about Vyapti. How is that one different than Vibhuti? Vyapti is also presence. Bhagavan is present in all that, in anywhere, everywhere, right? There is not a place where he is not there. So that means if he's already there, and then how is that one Vyapti is different than Vibhuti? So it's different because in Vyapti means Bhagavan is present everywhere, right? But then, for example, like he is also present in a piece of dirt. Is he there? Definitely he is there. But then what is so special about a piece of dirt? Are we kind of amazed by it? Will we do a puja to it just because Bhagavanta is there? No, right? Because there's nothing special about it. But when we are looking at certain objects that stands out with this exemplary status or whatever compared to others, so that is when we are saying, oh, this is special than others, and that is because the Bhagavan chose to put his Vishesha form or Vishesha Aishwarya in that object, giving the greatness in that one. That is Vibhuti. So that is the difference between Vyapti and then Vibhuti. So then the Bhagavan's presence is also called Sannidhana. So then what is Vibhuti and what is Sannidhana? Right? That is, and again, both are kind of relatively the same. Actually, the Sannidhana is, one can call it as a subset of Vibhuti. So Vibhuti is basically like is an ascendant of a medium, right? Where the Bhagavan exists in certain qualities, right? Just because we see something great or whatever, like Stavaranam, Himalaya, we see Himalaya, we see its majesty, we are awestruck by it and everything. We appreciate for it what it is. But then we are not kind of, get down into it and then start doing puja or whatever. But wherein, like when we mentioned about Saligrama and some Vigrahas and some Murtis in temple, the Bhagavan's presence is there also in a special way. And that is worthy of worship, right? In kind of those forms, it is worthy of worship. So that is Sannidhana. So that is the subtle difference between Vibhuti and then Sannidhana. Even in that one can say we have hundreds of temples for Lord Srinivasa. Same form, but yet Tirupati is special, right, compared to others. So that way, because he might have chosen, he might have, it's told in Puranas too, because it is basically, he himself basically turned into an that statue, or that is what it said and everything. So it is still there as a special presence and special form, and hence it is, one can call that one as vibhuti of other vigrahas. So, but that is the Sannidhana in that way. So that's about that. And then when we say that certain objects, certain media are kind of chosen for their exemplary status or the exemplary state or whatever in that one. So then we ask them, then is Bhagavan partial, or is he choosing certain things willy-nilly so that he puts his special forms and gives the stature to that? No, he doesn't have any preference. He is impartial. Samoham sarva bhuteshu. We saw that in the previous chapter, right? Name dvesha asti na priyaha. He doesn't hate it. He doesn't like. He doesn't love it, or whatever. He is neutral. Nirdosham he samam brahma. Right? We had seen those things before. So, meaning he doesn't have any partiality or whatever. So then why the difference? So why one is greater than the other one? That is because of the intrinsic yogyata of the adhisthana itself. Because the intrinsic yogyata of adhisthana is greater, Bhagavan puts appropriately his strength or whatever, his Aishwarya, his presence appropriately matching the intrinsic yogyata of the Adhisthana. So that way, you cannot put any blame on him. You cannot say he's partial or whatever. He is giving what is natural in that way. Like, for example, like a teacher in a class of students, right? He has to be, for the best performing student, he gives high grade. For the student that doesn't put any, he doesn't put any effort or whatever, gives the failing grade. So he's still sama, because that is sama, because he is treating them in this appropriate fashion. Just because sama he gives the same grade for everybody, that will not be just. Would it be? So that way, sama means treat them appropriately, how it has to be treated. So that is what samatva in here means. So because of that, there is no dosha associated with Bhagavan. He is still nirdosha on that way. We have another verse we had seen before. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Suni Chaiva Swapake Cha Panditaha Samadarshinaha. Here when they say Panditaha Samadarshinaha, Panditaha sees all of them same, doesn't mean that they are seeing all the adhishtanas in the same way. They are seeing the same Bhagavan in all the adhishtanas. The Bhagavan is same in all the adhishtanas, but one would treat Panditas in a certain way, and one has to treat the Swapake, it is a Chandala, in a certain way. So one cannot expect them, both of them, to be treated in the same way. So the society doesn't do that, and then even the Panditas will not do that. So here when you say Samadarshinaha means they are saying the Vyaptitva of the Bhagavan here. In that context, it is Samadarshinaha. So we have to go back to like whatever we have done before. This is an opportunity to to review them and also put them in the context in here. So we talked about Bhagavan being in Adhisthana and then giving its exemplary status. So then we said that, then is there a mutual dependency of the Bhagavan on Adhisthana and Adhisthana on Bhagavan? Because Bhagavan is going to match what the Adhisthana is. and everything. So that way saying, though, then is Bhagavan bound? Is he dependent on Adhisthana? And does the qualities of the Adhisthana will somehow influence or rub into Bhagavan? If that question comes, Krishna had answered them already. We saw that in the last chapter. Maya tadamidam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina mastani sarva bhutani. They're all in me. All the beings are in me means all the beings are dependent on Bhagavan. Me being Bhagavan. And then he said, Nacha aham teshu avastitaha. And I am not in them, meaning that I am not dependent on them. Okay, so it shows that the Adhisthana is dependent on Bhagavan, but Bhagavan is not. And then he quickly kind of reverses himself again. Nachamastani bhutani. So all beings are not in me. First he said, all are in me, now and all in me. So here it means their qualities, whatever they come up with and everything, that doesn't affect Bhagavan in any way. Their quality doesn't touch it. How is it all possible? He said that's what it is. Mama Yoga Aishwaram. So is a special, that is a special quality in Bhagavan. That is his Aishwarya. Because of that, he is able to do that, all of that. And all the medias are made of this Triguna anyway, Sattva, Rajas, Tamasa, right? And then he says that even those, even to Te Mayi, they are all in him, or in Bhagavan, Te Mayi, Nato Aham Teshu. I am not in them, meaning that I am not dependent on them. They don't, and then they don't influence me in any way, but they all depend on me. So that is again, we saw that in the seventh chapter, a quick review of what we have done. So then the next aspect is, there are types of vibhuti. Again, in the grantha that I told about, the Haritam Tasara, there are 10 types of vibhutis are shown and then discussed. It would be quite a bit of a time. I think Venkatesh ji is going to do that. So here, from the context for here, there are only two are more important. One is called sajati, meaning comparison in the same category. That is what Krishna is going to do in this chapter mostly. And then for example, sajatam, sajatiyam, shakra, ushana, kavina, ushana kavi, pandavanam, dhananjaya, right, Arjuna. So these are all the hidden rupas, and then antaryami rupas. And then, so the sajati means comparing in the same category. In the same category, he is going to say that who is better and everything. And that is called, that vibhuti is called sajati. There is also vijati. Vijati means that is a comparison of dissimilar qualities or dissimilar entities in this one, right? So here, for example, Krishna is going to say later on, Nakshatranam aham sashi. So Shashi means Chandra. So among Nakshatra and Chandra, first of all, Chandra is not a Nakshatra, he is a Upagraha, right? So it is in that way, it is not in the same class. So hence the Vijatiness comes out of that. But still, Krishna says, because in the context of, hey, in a dark sky, Chandra is the most brightest of the objects. In that context, right, he is talking about Nakshatranam aham sashi. Compared to nakshatras, Shashi is brighter. So in that context that he's talking about. But that is how, and this is an example of how what Vijati is. But more importantly, with respect to Bhagavan, Bhagavan has some certain gunas that no other jiva or no other jada has, like Swatantriya. Only he is Swatantriya. Everything else, everybody else is a Swatantriya. So that is a Vijatiness. He has, others don't have. Similarly, he is the prime mover, or the prime responsible person for Shishti, Sthiti, Laya, Niyamana, Jnana, Jnana, Bandha, Moksha. Moksha again, only he can give. Nobody else can give. So these are all some of the gunas that the Bhagavan has. These are the Vijatiya gunas. And then, so that is, he has, others don't have. So in that way, it is how do we, when it comes to compare what is Sajati and what is Vijati, I thought one can keep that one in mind when we look at that one. So then we ask about, okay, what is the purpose and is there a continuity of message? We always check on that one whenever we go into a newer chapter, right? So the purpose is, again, I told before, in chapter 6, that is Dhyana Yoga. So Bhagavan talked about preparation of Dhyana, and then what is the merits of Dhyana, and on all of that and everything. But in that one, he doesn't quite say that, okay, if you have to do a Dhyana, then how do you do it? Where do you fix your mind, right? On that one. So he's going to do it in here, right? So in that way, it is a continuation, or the kind of relevance is towards jhana. Again, for dhyana, people want either guna they want to focus on, or rupas. They can pick and choose whatever they want out of in here. So also in terms of continuity, the prior chapter, Krishna is finishing with manmana bhava, mad bhakta, matyaji, mam namaskuru, and all of that. So here again is manmana bhava, mana bhava. That means fix your mind in me. You have to fix your mind in me. People can ask, Arjuna ask, others can ask. I need something to fix in mind. And to help that one, that is what Krishna is going to describe in here. And that is the relevance and the purpose of this chapter, and hence the continuity too, right? And then also another way of looking, even if we take one step back, in the second Shadga, right, is all about jnana and vijnana of Bhagavan, right? So that is what Krishna first starts with the 7th chapter with jnanam te aham savijnanam idam vakshami asheshataha. I will tell you without any keeping anything residue. I will tell you what is jnana is, what is vijnana is. We saw that right in that one. So that vijnana that he starts describing there with rasoham apsakaunteya, the same thing continues. All the things that he talked about in 7th chapter, 8th chapter, 9th chapter, and now the 10th chapter, they're all Vishesha Jnana of Bhagavan. And that is what we need, that knowledge to get Apraksha Jnana. So the theme continues on to the 10th chapter also. So now we will look at the first few verses, and then I will turn it over to Prakash ji. So the first verse starts like that. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Boeva Mahaboho Sunume Paramam Vacha Yatteham Priyamanaya Vakshayami Hitakamyaya. So the Bhagavan starts with the 10th chapter saying that, Boeva Sunu. So listen again. Meaning saying that Bhagavan is saying that, O Arjuna, Mahabaho, listen again to my divine teachings. Because Bhagavan has already indicated his vibhuti forms in prior chapters also. There is a brief description in chapter 7 itself, starting with Rasoham Apsakanteya, right? And he has given some of it. Then again in the 9th chapter, Aham Kratu, Aham Yajnam, right? Aham Swadaham, and all of that. So certain things are already short, but those are brief, and then he just talked about it and then went on somewhere here. So now he is going to soon, he is kind of realizing that people may need more. So he is saying to Arjuna, okay, I will tell you again. And then why is he saying? He's saying, Priyamanaya. So that is very important one in here. He's saying that Priyamanaya, and then Hitakamyaya, and then for your own good, for your welfare, and to please you, I will tell you again. Why does he have to do that and everything? Because recall that, Arjuna is sad from this Vishada Yoga he started, right? So the Krishna's teaching is all about getting rid of his ignorance and then getting back into this enthusiastic form to fight the war. So he has to get out of that one. So that is why he is using the word Priyamanaya, right? So, and then right after, at the end of this chapter, this is something that Sureshji pointed it out. When the beginning of the 11th chapter, Arjuna starts with Mohoyam Vigato Mama. He is saying that okay, my moha is now gone. So meaning that this chapter is the a kind of the last chapter wherein at the end of this Arjuna says that, okay, now my moha is gone. So in that way also this chapter is important, that this is pinnacle of that where Arjuna's moha is kind of addressed completely in that one. So let us go into the next verse. What is he saying in that one? So name vidu suraganaha prabhavam na maharshyaha aham adir hi devanam maharshinam cha sarvashaha. So here he says in that Vishayam. So nor the suraganaha, right? These are the devatas, right? Or maharishiyaha, maharishi. What? Name vidu prabhavam. Na me prabhavam viduhu, right? That means they don't quite comprehend my prabhavam. Prabhavam in the sense it could be glory or the beginning, the birth, creation, and all of that. That is because he was the first creator. Aham prabhavaha, right? And then aham adir hi devana maharshi namcha sarvashaga. Because compared to Deva and Maharishi and everything, hey, I am there before any of these people, right? And then there is this Mahanarayana Upanishad, Eko Narayana Asit, right? Na Brahma, na Shiva, and all those things. He is the only one that was even existing. Everybody, everything, and everybody else came later. He has been one, even, he didn't even have a beginning. There is no beginning for him. He is Ajam. Later on, we are going to see, right? So he doesn't have a birth, he is always existing. And when others come into existence, so that means, Bhagavan was the primary cause for them to come exist. So that means they are not going to understand about his birth or creation or whatever. He doesn't have a birth in that sense, right? And then there are many slokas that we had seen it before, right? Even as a review of from the prior chapters, aham prabhava pralaya nidanam, right? Bijam avyayam. So in the kind of 9th chapter, then pitaham masya jagataha mata data pitamaha, right? I'm the father, I'm the mother, I'm the cause for everything. Bijam mam sarva bhutanam vidya partha sanatanam. In the 7th chapter, I am the seed for everything. In that one, I'm the biha. Aham krishnasya jagataha prabhava pralayastata, right? And all of that. So to show that he is a prime mover and then a prime cause. So how can anybody will know him? So going to the next one, similar one continues, because he's unborn, right? Yomam ajam anadim cha veti lokamaheshwaram. So whoever knows me as the unborn, right? Ajam, unborn, anadim. I mean, I've been there always, right? And I am the Ishvara of the Loka. Whoever knows this, right? For them, sarvai papai, sarva pape pramuchate. They are liberated from all the sins. And asammudaha, their illusion is also all gone and everything. Samarteshu, among the people, they are liberated and their moha is gone. Whoever knows me or the Bhagavan as Ajam, Anadim, and Lokamaheshwaram, whoever knows him that as that one. These are all attributes and then are in forms of some form of gunas, right? One can contemplate on, right? So, and also by there are some Vishesha Arthas in here. The Anadi itself to be kind of split as Ana plus Adi. Ana means also to move. And Adi means at the prime cause. So that means a prime cause for the creation, right? And all of that. So that is what he is also talking about. And that is why he says that since he is a prime cause of the everything and everything, others who came later will not be able to know about that one. So another way is Anasya Adi. Ana is also Mukhya Prana. So his Adi, that means he is also a cause. Bhagavan is also a cause of Mukhya Prana. Mukhya Prana is his son, and then comes later, and then whatnot. So there is just some play of words, and then some inner meanings of those words in that one. So it's also in another way of kind of, it is like a Mangala saying that to people to motivate to do more and more about it. If you know more about Bhagavan, the reward is the liberation from birth and death, this sins, and release from the illusion or the ajnana, and the moksha itself. So that is a promise, and hence there is a more incentive for us to know about his gunas, his rupas, and especially on his vibhuti. So with that, I will stop here and then hand it over to Prakash ji, where he will give more. He will set more. He will talk about more about Bhagavan. Starts saying more about his vibhuti. So with that, Krishnarpanamastu, Prakash ji. Let me stop sharing.
Okay. Oh, let me share it. Share.
Prakash, also video on, please.
Oh, yeah, 1 second. Are you able to see the screen now?
Yeah, all good.
All good, okay. Hari Om. Gita Ganga cha Gayatri Govindeti Hridisthite Chaturgakara Sanyukte Punarjanma Navidyate Devam Narayanam Natpa Sarvadosha Vivarjitam Paripurnam Gurumshangi Tatam Vakshamileshatah समस्तगुणसम्पूर्णं सर्वदोषविवर्जितं नारायणं नमस्कृत्य गीतातात्पर्यमुच्यते लक्ष्मीनारायणं नत्वा पूर्णबोधान् गुरूनपि कुर्म श्रीकृष्णगीताया भाष्याद्युक्तार्थसङ्ग्रहं हयग्रीव हयग्रीवेति वादिनं नरं मुञ्चन्ति पापानि दरिद्रमयोषधः पूज्या राघवेन्द्राय सत्यधर्मरताय च कल्पवृक्षाय नमतां कामधेनवे दुर्वादिध्वान्तरवये वैष्णवेन्दि वरेन्दवे श्री राघवेन्द्र गुरुवे नमः दयालवे हरि ओम. Namaskara to everybody. Like he explained, in much detail about Vibhuti, and he set the tone for the next, the Adhikarana or the topic. So, in order to contemplate or to do meditation upon God, we need to know his rupas, because there should be some object to meditate upon. So, in order to meditate upon anything, we need to have a clear mind. And without that and many other ingredients, you will not be able to meditate upon. So, Krishna, in this, from this, the next set of verses, he says that what are the things you need, the ingredients you need in order to contemplate. Not only that, all these rishis and the devas which he previously mentioned, GVG mentioned, they are of very high order. Rishis, the rishis are Rishajnane, they are jnanis, they have the mantra drashtas, they are the seers of the Vedic mantras. So, where does their knowledge come from? And all those qualities that they have, where do they come from? So, in order to say all those things, Krishna sets the tone. What are the things one should need to contemplate upon him, and that's what the next set of verses they go about. So, these two next two, 4 and 5, the verses, they talk about the entire set of things what actually comes from Krishna to everybody, and according to their yogita. For example, rishis, their knowledge is much superior than us. So let's go through that, and the fourth and fifth verses, they are actually together. So he says that Buddhihi jnanam asammoha kshama satyam damashamaha sukham dukkam bhavo abhavo bhayam cha abhayam evacha ahimsa samata tushti tapaso dhanam yasho ayashaha bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva pratak vidaha. So he talks about 20 elements here, and these 20 elements one should have in order to contemplate on the God. So first thing he talks about is the buddhi. If you go back to the third chapter, and also in Brahma Sutra, it has been given that the manas is actually 5 components, right? You have manas, you have buddhi, then you have what is that? Ahankara, chitta, and then you have chetana. Like that, you have the 5 components. Mind is the one which is always wavering, this or that. But buddhi is the one which actually has the viveka. That is why Acharya says that karya, akarya, vinishchaya. What you should do, what is forbidden, you should be able to discriminate that, and you should be able to process that. So that buddhi is the first step. So if you are able to, filter the bad things and take the good things, that is the one thing. Then the next thing is jnanam. See, jnanam and buddhi, they are almost similar. It is it appears like paryaya, but it is not so. Why? Because Acharya says, actually Jayatirtha says, Nyayate aneneti jnanam. That is, by means of which you get knowledge. So, if you have a proper buddhi, that is, if you have proper viveka discrimination, that results in jnanam. And actually, they both feed each other. If you have more and more of jnanam, then your viveka also becomes better. So, that is the first step. You should have the proper viveka, and that feeds more knowledge. And all the rest of things follow after this. So, this buddhi, this jnanam, once you get that, then this next step is, the ingredient is asammoha. Asammoha means you don't have any attachment to your delusion. That is, you don't have any desire to do forbidden acts, or the absence of mithya jnana, that is ayatartha jnana, that is the wrong knowledge. So after that, it all builds up. You have to have all these qualities to do proper contemplation. Then next is kshama. Kshama means even if somebody hurts you, you don't retaliate with anger. See, it's a very important quality, right? So when you when you go to meditate or even think of God, if you are angry or you want to have a vengeance, you will not. That will be preoccupying your mind, so you cannot do meditation. So, and also if you have a improper jnana, then you will not be able to meditate properly. So he slowly builds up that, and then he says that satyam. Satyam, the next quality is yatartha jnana purvaka anushtanam. So basically, when you do anushtana, when you do something, you should have the yatartha jnana. The satyam is also yatartha jnana. For example, if I want to talk about God, it should be yatartha. Whatever is said in the Vedas and Purana Itihasas, that should be the thing you should also reveal. You cannot come up with some other anki-dory. So you have to say that as it is. So, and also your words and your anushtanam should be similarly. So yadartham should be as it is. Then dama means indriya nigraha, restraint of the senses. After that, it is shama. That is, shama means manishta buddhi. That is, you should have shamo manishta buddher dama indriya nigraha. So, in Bhagavata Purana it comes. It is Bhagavata. So you should have that. Mind should be always be, on the guard. Sukham, dukkam means sukham, pleasure, anukula vedanayam. That is when, you experience sukha, and also you dukkha pratikula vedanayam. But when you experience these two things, you should have equanimity. For example, we have seen that in second chapter, dukkeshu anivigramane manaha, sukeshu vigataspraha. That is, you don't brood over the bad things which happen to you, and at the same time, you don't dwell in whatever happened, pleasant thing happened to you. Both of them are not good. So you understand that, hey, this I happened, it's for my good, but again, I'm not going to be dwell on that. Then God's creation, abhava, that means the bhava, and this existence, that is his sustenance. Then is fear. Fear means, whatever the fear we have from others or from within our own things. So many other different categories of fears are there. Then again, fearlessness. Then the next one is ahimsa, that is not harming or torturing other beings. Then samatha means, again, it is the sukha dukkha, the opposites, the dvandas, the extremes. You are basically having the equanimity and equilibrium. That is, you are not perturbed by all these wild swings, the extremes. Tushti means alam buddhi, meaning in material things you are satisfied. Okay, I got my iPhone 2 years ago. This will go for another 5-6 years. I'm happy with that. I don't need another thing. So material things, alam buddhi. I'm satisfied with whatever the things are. Then your tushti, that is tushti, alam buddhi. Then tapas. Following brahmacharya means brahmani acharya. That is, you always your activities are towards the Brahman. Your all your actions are towards the Brahman. That is brahmacharya. Not brahmacharya means not just a stage of life. Not only that, it is also all your activities are geared towards God. And dhanam means just giving whatever you want. Means it's not just like that. But whatever you acquired through dharmic means, that you have to share with other people. So that is the real dhanam, not stealing from other people and give it, but whatever you acquired through dharmic means, you share it with others. Then again, fame, infame, yashaha, infame. So you obviously, this fame and infame, to some extent, that those qualities, they come from they also from God. The reason is fame is also required in the sense that if you want to spread your knowledge or something like that, it comes later. It comes in the other layer. There's some relation there. So that quality is also needed. So Krishna says all these qualities, whatever he mentioned so far, those and many other things, they all come from Krishna only. And according to the Yogita, we have to add that the intellect of Rishi and intellect of an ordinary person will not be the same. And also his Kshama, his Satya, Dhamma, and all those things will be obviously very in a much higher grade than all of us. So these are the 20 and 20 plus ingredients one should have, how the mind should be very, very, should be conditioned and clear to be able to contemplate on the forms of Lord. That is the vibhuti, which GVG explained in much detail, and we're going to see that in much more detail later. After this, previously, when GVG was touching upon, God created everything. He's just going to touch upon a little bit more. Because it's not only that he's the one who gave all these qualities to people, but again, he's reiterating the fact that he's the creator of everything, all the beings, and he's just giving much more details to that. So he says that Mahashya Saptapurve Chatparo Manavastata Madbhava Manasa Jata Yesham Loka Ima Prajaha. The 7 rishis of the previous Manvantara, that is the period during which the Manu rules, it's called Manvantara. And this is also referred in the Puranas and Itihasas. They were created by me. They came from I only created them. So he says that the 7 rishis, Tamarichi, Atri, Angirasa, Pulastaya, Pulaha, Kratu, Vasishta, and they are Maha Tejasvis. And it is there in Mahabharata, Moksha Dharma, the reference to this rishis are there. And also the 4 Manus, starting with Swayambhu, Sorochisa, Revata, Uttama, they are also born of becoming. And all their children, that is because Manu means what? The Manus, all the men means everybody, all the beings, they all came from these people only, in a big succession. But In fact, all these people, the rishis and manus and they actually everything, they all came from me only. And there are Bhagavata and other Puranas, they give in great detail. So basically, he wants to just touch upon the point. He only is talking about the top level people. That is why he says that Raghavendra Swami says that the manus are mentioned here in the beginning order. That's the rishis in the first order because of their preeminence and seniority. That's called is pradhanya. Because that's why we have Gotra, right? No, we belong to this Gotra, that Gotra. Means he's the Pravartaka, is the progenitor of so many people after him. So this way they are the first people, they are given the prominence and the seniority because it came everything from them. And also there is an alternate meaning to this. It says that Manu Avabodhane, meaning those who have superior knowledge or wisdom. And then these people, starting from Brahma, they are actually the Abhimani of the four Varnas, like what we have the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. The Abhimanis, they are the Abhimanis. And we can see that from different granthas that for the Brahmana Varna Abhimani Devatas, Brahma and Pavaka, and Agni. And for Kshatriya, it is the Vayu, Shiva, Garuda, Sesha, like, so yeah, Surya, Amachandra. And then Vaishya is out of the 12 Ajitas, 8 of them. And the 10 Rudras accepting Shiva, because Shiva is, in the previous category Kshatriya, 49 Maruts. Then except the Pavaka, Vasu, the other 7 Vasu. Shudras are Ashwini Deva Prithvi. But these Devatas themselves, Devatas themselves don't have any, they don't fit into any of the four Varnas because they can be in any of the four Varnas at any time. Arjuna was a Kshatriya, right? So like that we can see that in our Puranas. So these great celestial beings who are endowed with so much of knowledge. They are the Abhimana Devatas, as we saw, of the different four Varnas. So basically, he gives, in a nutshell, he's not talking about in detail, but he says that all this creation is only from me. So basically, he says that Swayambhu Manu and other people, they generally the Purana say that they came from Brahma, but actually Krishna says that he kind of indicates here that I am there inside them. I am inside Brahma and instigating Brahma to create this entire set of beings. So it is only from me. Ime praja madbhava manasa jata yesham loka ima praja. All these people and also the people who are born out of the Manasa Putra of Brahma, everybody, it is only madbhava. It is only from me. So that is what he says, that the creation is all from me only. So in the previous two slokas, he told all the qualities of human being, the beings for them to meditate, and then he's saying the creation. So repeatedly in our granthas, we talk about creation again and again, because that's because creation is the sarva samarthya, that is the intelligence is so much. That is why repeatedly we talk about the creator and his creation. Only if we know that Mahima, we will be able to contemplate, and of course, this Vibhuti Agandal will gel on us only if you know that again and again that is the creator of everything. So after having said that, he talks about the fruit of knowing these qualities which he gives to all the beings, and then this creation. So Krishna says in the 7th verse, Yetam vibhutim yogam cha mama yo veti tatpatah. So avikampena yogena ujyate natam. Here only he talks about vibhuti. The first word vibhuti is being used here. And previously GVG touched upon it. Vibhuti means Vishishta Bhavanam. Bhavanam means, it's a place, right? So Vishishta Bhavanam, meaning because of his presence, that place becomes an excellence. So, for example, everything will be covered later. Stavaranam Himalaya. Among all the mountains, I am the Himalaya. So many mountains are there in same jati, but because of his special presence, that mountain became magnificent and it became, the wonder of the world. Like that, if Bhagavan, of course, Bhagavan is there everywhere. Is the Vyaptitva is everywhere. But there is a special presence, the special the Rupa of God being there and manifesting through that place. It becomes excellent, and then that becomes the vibhuti of him, Vishishta Bhavanam. And also Vividha Bhavanam. It's not only in that place. That is why in this chapter they say that almost 70 rupas of they talk about 77 vibhuti rupas, I think they are spoken of in this chapter. So vibhuti also means is vividha bhavati. That means many forms of vibhuti rupa of God is there. So he says that, like this, if you understand that my creation, the qualities which I endow upon people, then yo veti tatvatah. We have seen that even Janma Karma yo veti tatvaha in the 4th chapter. So whoever knows his tattva as it is properly, then the pala, the fruit what I bestow upon him is so adhikampena yogena uchyate natra samshaya. That is, it will be very steadfast. His mind becomes steadfast on me, and in this thing you don't have any doubt. Because in the previous version, he told that in the second, I think in second or third verse, he told that even the devas and the rishis, they don't know me completely. So he says that now I'm going to give you all these things, the vibhuti rupas, even the celestials which you do not know. So by knowing that, you will be able to fix your mind upon me, and you will be able to do meditation by which will be steadfast. So that is the fruit of knowing the previous things what Krishna described. So basically, the central idea is to know the glorious nature and activity of the God. So that is the thing. And then after that, Krishna in the next 2 verses, he says that he needs to give more brief. This is how we have seen in many Bhagavad Gita shlokas. He first starts, it's like giving a summary or an overview, and then he expands it further and further, right? So here he says that in order to give adara jananaya, in order to give you more belief, more firmness in this knowing of God and meditation upon him, he says that in the next 2 shlokas, he knows how you should contemplate. You are saying previously what all the greatness of the Lord, but he says now how to contemplate. Now we have to remember the 6th chapter where he says that how do you meditate? You have to sit on a flat surface, and there is also, we saw about the Brahma Sutra where you have to sit. You should not sleep and meditate. You sit. All those things we have to bring all those things, and then when you meditate, what is your thought process? So that is what Krishna says. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha matta sarvam pravartate. The jnani is, you understand Lord as, he is the creator of all beings. We solved that before. Again, we have to, when we contemplate, we have to contemplate all those things, the entire creation. In fact, the creation, understanding the creation of Lord is not easy. In Mahabharata Tatparya also, it is explained in detail that the creation process of God is the most complicated thing. So at least we understand that a fair amount of knowledge about how he is the creator of everybody and what all things he creates. And then matta sarvam pravartate. Whatever all the activities, everything comes from him only, because he only if he is there inside us, we will be able to do any actions. So we need to understand that. And of course, not only the creation, the annihilation, the control, etc., everything is under his control. And then if you do puja, etc., then it makes more sense, and then you become one step closer to him. So here there is one interesting thing. He says that aham mataha. Everything is saying only it is only from he is the God. From him only everything comes. In the second later half of the sloka, it says iti matva bhajante mam buddha. Mam, me, Buddha. Why he has to say again mam? Already has said that. But again, it is to dispel if you have any doubt that you and God are the same, like other schools of thought. In order to remove that thought and dispel that thought, specifically uses that mam. Buddha Bhava. I mean, people, all the jnanis will understand me like this, that he is the creator, he is the one who is instigating to all the activities, etc. So he wants to make sure, Krishna wants to make clear that he is God, we are his bhaktas. That Jiva, Ishvara, Veda, and no Jiva Ishvara Aikya, in order to specifically mention that, you uses the mom again in the second verse. This is noted by the Bhashakaras. Again, he continues with the way to contemplate. Matchitta, Matgata Pranaha, Bodhaganta Parasparam, Katayantascha Mam Nityam, Tushanti Ramanticha. So basically, he says that, the Nityam word here, you should do the, Adhyara, meaning you should use in all the places. Matchitta, that means Nityam. Always keep your mind engrossed in me. Nityam Matgata Pranaha. That means all our prana means all our faculties and is all our activity, going to temple. I mean, for example, that's using your legs to do Bhagavad Karya, your hands to do puja, etc. like that. So all the activities should be directed towards him at all times. Nityam. Then Bodhayantaha. Then Nityam Bodhayantaha. That is, if you have Shishyas, then at all times, I mean, at all possible times, you need to do the Upadesha of about Lord to the disciples. Then Parasparam Katayanchaha. Then if you have Sahapatis, people, Satsangis, everybody like that, then amongst yourself, all the time, you talk about him. If you keep doing this, then if he's Tushyanti and Ramanticha, they are Tushyanti means, again, they have they are self-satisfied with the material things, then the Ramanti, they get delighted in God. So that's what he says, that this he gives a process of meditation, and how you should have repeatedly mentioned the alam buddhi of material things. So these are the two ways to contemplate. Then next two slokas, which is the final two slokas in my today's presentation, he talks about what is the phala. Again, he previously told the phala, but again he's going to give a little bit more detail about the fruit of doing this meditation. So he says that Tesham Satatayuktanam Vachatam Priti Purvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Tena Mam Upayantite. So basically, see, the thing is, if it's not just, he's praising me, but it should be Priti Purvakam. I think previously also we saw that. It should be a base of love. It should be genuine. So if you do a genuine contemplation, or think of him and do puja, etc. And also Satata Yuktanam, previously we saw that same thing. Nityam, always talk about, give Upadesha, etc. We saw that. So like that, if your bhakti, if your love towards God is pure, and it's also perpetual, it's not on and off, it's like that, then he says that Dadami Buddhi Yogam. I will give you, Buddhi Yoga means it can also be Aproksha Jnana. I will give you the Aproksha Jnana, and by the Aproksha Jnana, you will Mam Upayanti, you will come and reach me. Then again he says that, okay, if that is the case, you say that, you contemplate me, I will come, etc. But again, the question comes is, for beginningless time, we are in bondage. We saw that in Madhusudan Ji's classes. We see that the Linga Deha, it's there from beginningless time. You're always entangled in the samsara. Then we have this ignorance. Because of the bondage, we have ignorance. And then that is stopping us from going to the next level of getting rid of our bondage. So Krishna says, don't worry. I will bless you. It is my mercy that I will bless you. I will remove the darkness because of the ignorance. Because how will he do that? He says that Atma Bhavastaha. I will be there in your mind, I will be there in you, and I will provide you this knowledge. Jnana Deepena Bhasvata. I will be the guiding light inside you, and then I will remove all the darkness, because of your ignorance, which is there from another time. And then by giving you, in the previous I told, like Buddhyogam Dadami, I will give you the Aproksha Jnana, and through that Aproksha Jnana, you will, you will become free from all these things, the material bonds. And then the mind becomes very clean. So basically, we can say it's an Aproksha Jnana also. It can also take before the stage before that. But whatever it is, he's going to be our guiding light. He promises. He promises. This is a very big promise he makes, that I'm going to be your guiding light by being inside you, and then I will make you. I'll put you in a state where you are ready to contemplate upon the forms of the Lord. That is the 70 odd Vibhuti Rupas. So now he sets the tone for Arjuna that, he's going to explain Vibhuti Rupas. But now Arjuna is now is going to become more curious. He says that, okay, go ahead and please explain me in more detail about all the Vibhuti Rupas. So with that, I conclude this little presentation. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. And Venkatesh ji is going to explain in more detail about the Vibhuti Rupas. Jai Sri Krishna.
Namaskaram to everyone. Please tell me you can see it.
Yeah.
Excellent. If all of you are able to see, I want to start out with a prayer. Hayagriva Hayagriva Tasya Nisrate Vani Janukanya Pravahavat Mukopi At Prasadena Mukunda Shainayate Rajarajayate Rikto Rakhavendram Tamashreryom. So I want to do all of my namaskaras to Swamiji's and my own teachers, and wish all of the people in this forum my Krishna pranamas as well. And then begin this Vibhuti Yoga. Arjuna now asks a series of, Arjuna now has a series of shlokas, and we will look at Arjuna's question. We'll look at the depth of his question, and then we'll go step by step. So first of all, a new word has been introduced, isn't it? On the 10th chapter, 7th shloka, like what Prakashji has been saying, Vibhutim Yogancha. A new word has been introduced, Vibhutim. Arjuna is very, very attentive. He is listening to everything that Bhagavan Krishna is saying. Immediately, he grabs onto it like a heat-seeking missile. And then he says, all right, I need to know more about this word Vibhuti. I need to know more about it in a very clear way. And now that this Vibhuti word has been spoken by the Lord, it's a really, really good opportunity for me to get to know more. So before we go into that, I want to give you a little bit of an introduction here. If you look at the Bhagavad Gita, right, it begins at shloka 1, ends at 701 shloka with 18 chapters. We are in this spot here. All the red indicate Arjuna's comments, the blue indicates Sanjaya's comments, and the green indicates Bhagavan Shri Krishna's words. So Bhagavan Shri Krishna has been speaking for a lot longer than Arjuna. This is a very good way for us to understand when we are meeting our teachers, how much amount of time should we speak, how much amount of time should we give our teachers to speak. Arjuna asks a bunch of questions, but he gives his full attention to Bhagavan Krishna as he is speaking. So we are right here. If you recall, Arjuna's previous question was Kintat Brahma Kim Adhyatma. It was on the beginning of the 8th chapter. So the entirety of the 8th chapter, he has been listening attentively to Bhagavan Krishna. Then the entirety of 9th chapter, he has been listening attentively to Bhagavan Krishna. And for a fair amount of 10th chapter, he has been listening. And only when a new word and a new concept that gets introduced, he already knows what that concept means, because like GVG has said, these types of Rasoham Apsu Kaunteya and these types of concepts have already come about. But Krishna, Bhagavan Krishna now attempts to put all of it in a word. He's giving a word to all the descriptions that he has been doing. And he has selected the word Vibhuti. And so once the word Vibhuti Yoga, Vibhutincha Yogancha. So there is a word yoga and then there is a word Vibhuti. The word yoga has already been explained by Prakashji just a second back as his extraordinary power, extraordinary strength of the Lord. Pashyame Yogamaishwaram. In the 9th chapter, Lord has also said somewhere around in this part. And so yoga Aishwarya, so the extreme incomprehensible power of the Lord is the yoga, and Mahayogeshwaro Harihi, they say that. And then now we're talking about Vibhuti. Before we go and talk about Vibhuti, I want to start off in a slightly humorous way. If you don't know anything about Vibhuti and you go into Google, type Vibhuti, you'll get the left-hand side picture. You'll get a whole bunch of bhasma, which then becomes Vibhuti. Actually, the bhasma can become Vibhuti once you have done the Sadhujata mantra in it, or once you have done Viraja Homa in it, or if you're taking a Yajna and putting it on your face. A common article such as bhasma can also become Vibhuti. In fact, it is so special that they didn't even go and find another name for it. They just called it Vibhuti only. Like Shraddha, if you do something with Shraddha, it is called Shraddha. They didn't even go around trying to find another name. So Bhasma itself is called Vibhuti. So that is one of the Vibhutis that you can think about. Also, think about it like Shila. Shila is just a rock. And the rock gets transformed into this very beautiful Ram Lalla idol, which you see on the right. It becomes a Pratima. So in other words, in that rock, the Lord's form was already there. The Ram Lalla form was already there in that rock. What Yogiraj was able to do was to take away all the items that was not that particular form, and then the form came close to us so that we could see. It is what Michelangelo said when he was carving David. He said, I just took all the things that was not David in the marble, and then the David came out. The same way Yogiraj, when he was sculpting Ram Lalla, he probably had Ram Lalla's Vibhuti Rupa in his mind. And so when he took away all of the other covering entities, the Lord's form came, the Antaryami form of that stone came up, and for us to be able to see. That is the Pratima. And then once you do the Ahvana in the Pratima, then it becomes a article well worth of veneration. Like GVG was saying, you'll get the Sannidhana there, and then from the Sannidhana, it has the Vibhuti of having that particular Rupa of the Lord, and then we pray to it. So keep those things in mind. The Lord's forms of all adhishtanas, of all animate and inanimate entities already exist inside. It is for us to see it. So when you have a great sculptor, he can take a block of stone and show us the form of the Lord inside that stone. People like us, we can't see it, but the sculptor can see it in his mind. What the Lord is encouraging us is to become such sculptors so that we can look at an adhisthana and we can look at the Lord's forms within the adhisthana. So when you think about Vibhuti, we want you to think about the Lord's forms. The Lord's glories are also there, but we want you to think about the Lord's forms. And that's the reason why Vibhuti is Vishishta Bhavanena, Vivita Bhavanena, like what Prakashji was saying. So let's go step by step in this, and then let's try to unpack all of this. Arjuna, he could have asked this question, oh Lord, you said Vibhuti Yoga, tell me about Vibhuti Yoga, and then he could have finished this whole entire thing in one shloka. But he didn't do it that way, didn't he? I mean, like now, he actually took 4 + 3, 7 shlokas to ask a question. And so the question is, why is he taking 7 shlokas? Is he just sort of like meandering around. And so Raghavendra Swamiji beautifully explains it. He divides Arjuna's request into two parts. He says, Stutim Kritva Prarthayati, meaning the first four shlokas are the praise of Lord Vishnu, praise of Krishna, Stuti, Stotra. And the three shlokas after that are the prayers. So first he praises the Lord, then he adds his prayer. It's a common occurrence, isn't it? You praise, you describe the mystery and the power of the Lord, you pray to him, and now you have a prayer to him. But the prayer is also, in the sense, it's a completely nishkama prayer. Nishkama prayer meaning, I want to get more jnana about you. And so this is a very nice way for us to think about how we want to approach the Lord. So there is a stuti and then there is a prarthana. So let's look at the stuti here. There are four shlokas beginning with Param Parma Parandhama and then Devadeva Jagatpate. And then the prarthana that Arjuna has is from Vaktum Aharyash Sheshena to Nasti Me Amritam. So we will go step by step. But what I want you to think about right now is how intellectually profound Arjuna is, that he grabbed onto a new word. He was able to express his prayer, extempore prayer, and then he was able to make an entreaty to the Lord to give him more information, but you'll see how sincere he was. So he is an intelligent and a sincere devotee of the Lord. And so towards the end, I'm going to comment on Arjuna's state of mind and how he is an Uttamadhikari, meaning he is a very, very highly evolved soul who is a brilliant student asking a very relevant question and wants to sincerely implement it. So that is what we are going to be looking at in the next few minutes. Before that, GVG also said there is this work called Sri Harikathamrita Sara. And in the Harikathamrita Sara, our teacher Sri Kesharao explained to us this first padya that occurs in it. I'm going to recite it and then we'll go look at the 10 entities and then give you a very quick idea so that when you start seeing these as Vibhuti Rupas, you will be able to know how to classify them. Shri Taruni Vallabhana Parama Vibhuti Rupava Kanda Kandalli Teradi Chintisuta Manadali Nodu Sambramadi Nita Sadharana Vishesha Sajati Naija Ahitavu Sahaja Vijati Khanda Akhanda Bagegalanu Aritu Buddharinda. So you need to learn from the learned people, Buddhas, these 10 types of vibhutis, vibhuti forms that the Lord has, and then be able to contemplate it, Chintasutta, Manadali, in your own mind, and be able to see it in your mind too, Sambhramadi, like Preeti Purvakam, like what Prakashji has been saying, Preeti Purvakam. So you're going to be contemplating these forms in a very loving fashion. Of whose? Of Sri Taruni Vallabha. Sri Taruni is Lakshmi Devi and Vallabha is Krishna, Bhagavanta, Vishnu. So the Lord's forms of Sri and Vishnu, you should be able to understand it with all the specific forms in all the places. Kanda Kandalli Teradi, meaning wherever you look, you should be able to see Vibhuti forms. And so that's the reason why the Lord is saying Pradhanyayat Kuru Shrestha. So the Lord is only giving the most important enumeration and more is given in other places. So let's look at the 10 types of Vibhutis that we are going to encounter and see how Arjuna is asking that question. The first one is a Nita Vibhuti, which is Lord's avatara forms such as Rama, Krishna, Matsya. These are non-different from his Mula Rupa, but they are avataras and they are Pratyaksha Vibhutis. Then there is the Sadharana Vibhuti. Sadharana Vibhuti is the Vyapti and the Sadharana Vyapti of the Lord, which is they are normally prevent all of these forms in the forms that we just described as sentient and non-sentient entities. Then there is the Vishesha form of the Lord. The Vishesha form of the Lord is present in entities such as Brahma and other very highly evolved and capable jivas. You could think of them as Rujus or Parashuklatrayas, like Madhuji had been explaining a little bit earlier in one of his lectures. Then there is this Sajati Vibhuti. Sajati is, Jati is a class. Sajati is, within a class, there is an entity which is especially effulgent. And that is what is called as best in class, right? You describe all of these. I have this best in class equipment and stuff like that. That is the Sajati Vibhuti of the Lord. And this form is what is very, very elaborately discussed in the Gita. Of the 77 forms or something like that, that Prakashji and GVG were saying, a lot of them are Sajati forms. Then there is the Naija form of the Lord. The Naija form of the Lord is what GVG was explaining just a second back. And the Naija form of the Lord is, for example, a Shalagrama or a Balamuri Shankha, for example. The Shalagrama, you don't need to go out and invoke the presence of the Lord in it. The presence of the Lord is Naija. It is privately, eternally, always available to us. And then Ahita. Ahita are forms of the Lord where you have to do Ahvana. So if you have a Pratima, like if you're doing a puja daily, you'll say Bimbosi Pratibimbosmi. So you are invoking the presence of the Lord. Otherwise, you would be worshipping a Jada, which is not recommended at all and which is incorrect. And so these are the Ahita forms of the Lord. These are the Pratimas and self-evolved icons. They call them Swayam Vyakta Kshetras. Then Sahaja. In Sahaja, these are the Lord's Aveshas forms. So the Lord is present in Balarama, Lakshmana, but he is present in his Sankarshana form, isn't it? And so therefore, he is Avishta in the forms of these entities. Lakshmana and Bharata, the highly evolved entities. Then there is Vijati. Vijati is interclass. Amongst different classes, there is a comparison sometimes that invites comparison. And so that is this comparison like moon among stars, right? Nakshatrana Maham Shashin that people talked about just a second back. And so this is introduced only very minorly in our Bhagavad Gita. Then there is the form of the Lord called Khanda and Akhanda. So if you have rice in your plate, each morsel of the rice is a form of the Lord. But the full quantity of the rice is also another form of the Lord. So multiple khanda forms of the Lord form a akhanda part, like trees in a forest. The forest itself is a form of the Lord because we are talking about Narsimhadeva, what that we need to be worshipping as we enter the forest. But a tree is also a form of the Lord. So multiple trees, multiple forms of the Lord, then go out and form another form of the Lord. So this is a very, very incomprehensible thing. And so GBG was just saying a few seconds back, he says there is 5,535 forms of the Lord in Shalagrama. And so the way you pronounce Shalagrama and you reverse it, you will get Ankanam Vamato Gati, they call it. You'll get 5,535. This 5 is Sha, the 3 is La, the 5 is Gra, and the 5 is Ma. So pa bha bha ma. So that is the 5th one, like that. So it's a numerology that Harikathamritsara is talking about, which has been described very elaborately. And so they describe the Saligrama here as Kada Kanchana Dolage, meaning like the fire inside a gold that has been heated up. Meaning the gold is, the fire and the gold are always there. The gold is always there. And so therefore, the Sannidhana of the Lord in the Shalagrama is always there. That's why it's called Naija Vibhuti Rupa. However, they will talk about Daru Mathanava Gayye, meaning if you take 2 stones, Daru is 2 wood pieces. Daru Mathana, when you rub the 2 wood pieces together, you will get a spark. That is the way you should think about the presence of the Lord in a Pratima. In a Pratima, the Lord doesn't exist on his own. He will exist when the invocation is done and it has been decorated and put up in a very pleasing way. And so in the Pratima, there are 513 rupas. Again, Pratima, Ma is 3, Ti is 1, and then Pra is 5. And so therefore, Ankanam Vamato Gatihi. So when we go into this Harikathamritsara, what they are trying to tell you is, not only is there Vibhuti forms, there are multiple Vibhuti forms in each one of these entities. So think about how incomprehensible the Lord's glories are, that his forms are so many, his glories are so many. And so that is the reason why Arjuna has to take so many questions, so many times to explain to himself and then ask the question to Lord Krishna. So what I did here, unlike other times where I explained everything in English, I put it in very, very simple Sanskrit. I followed a book called Anvaya Prakashika by Raghavendra Yati, and I put it in Sanskrit, and I invite you to sort of like look at it. It's not as difficult as it might seem. So for example, I'll do one of them, and then maybe you'll be able to figure out all the other things as we go along. Param Brahma Parandhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum. So the Anvaya for it will be rather simple. You'll say Bhavaneva Param Brahma, meaning you, Bhavan, you, Eva, only, or Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Paramam Pavitrancha, Shashvatam, Purusham, Divyam, Adidevam, Ajam, Vibhum, Iti. Meaning, that's what Arjuna means to say. Arjuna is saying, Param Brahma, O Lord, Param Dhama, the ultimate abode, Paramam Pavitram. We say that, right? Bahyabhyantara Shuchihi. So the eternal sanctifier is Bhagavan only. The Bhagavan is himself very holy, and he also makes us holy. He is himself pavitra, he makes us pavitra too. He gets rid of our doshas and thus makes us pavitra. Shashvatam, he is always sarvada eka prakara. He has not changed and will not change, and he is the same before and subsequently. Purusham, Bhagavan, he has the 6 types of opulences that we talk about. Bhaga iti ritam. Divyam, he is the light of the world. Adi Devam, he is the one who is always present even prior to all the devatas. And then Ajam, meaning he is also unborn. Meaning if Lord was born, and why did he get born, right? So he is the prime cause. Prime cause meaning, so this is another thing for us to keep in mind. The Lord is cause personified. Meaning, in the Lord there is no karya. Bhagavanta is only karana. Why? Because he is the only free entity available out there in the world. Because he is the only free entity out in the world, he can only be the cause of something. Like GVG was saying, causality, right? The causality in the Lord is complete, meaning he doesn't have a result inside of him. He is the cause of everything. He is not a result of something. Do you guys understand? So if we are somebody, we are a result of something. We did something prior, and so therefore we are suffering that or we are enjoying that. The Lord is not so. The Lord is pure cause, Mula Karana. So that's why he is called Adi, meaning he is the first. First meaning the first cause. First meaning the only cause. That's the way you want to look at it. And Vibhum. Vibhum meaning a person who exists in various forms. Bhu, Bhavan, Bhuti. So they are all existing, Bhavana, and Vibhum, multiparous forms. And so this is the way you want to think about it, where Vibhum is Vishishta Vividha Bhavanam, is how they have defined it. Then Arjuna comes out, and this is, remember, this is an extempore stuti. So he is not like preparing it and then coming up with it. He's so overwhelmed, he's putting it out there. Then he says, Ahustam Rishah Sarve Devarishir Naradastatha Asito Devalo Vyasaha Swayam Chaiva Bravishime. Sarve Rishayaha, meaning all the rishis. Sarve Devarishayahascha, meaning all the Devarishis. Including Narada, Tatha Naradaha. Asitaha cha Devalaha. Asita and Devala both. And we'll know who these people are in a second. And then Vyasaha cha, Vyasa, Bhagavan Vyasa. And Twam, for you. Purusham iti ahuhu. They have already called you as a really, really full of opulences. And you also are now telling me the same thing, which is Swayam Sakshat Tvam cha asi tadvadasi. You are also telling that you yourself are the supreme. Other people are telling you are supreme, and you yourself are telling you are supreme. Why does he need to do 2 things? If he just said you are supreme, you are supreme, you are supreme, it seems like as if he is sort of like feeding Krishna's ego. That's not what Arjuna is trying to do. Arjuna is saying, what you are saying is what other people are saying. What other people are saying is what you are saying. So therefore, I have actually understood and internalized it. So I agree and believe that what you have said is correct. And so now we look at a little bit of these 4 people here, Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa. So this Devala is the older brother of Dhaumyacharya. You know Dhaumyacharya? Dhaumyacharya was the Purohita of Pandavas, And you remember that Dhaumyacharya also speaks very eloquently for the Pandavas during their Vanavasa state. And this is also the time when Arjuna has fought Chitraratha Gandharva, and then Dhaumyacharya becomes their guru. So this is also another weird thing, right? Where Arjuna, Dhananjaya, is himself a Vibhuti form, and Chitraratha, Gandharvanam Chitraratha is also another Vibhuti form, and you'll see these two Vibhuti forms as if they are fighting. Kind of similar to Rama and Parshurama fighting. So Rama Parshurama fighting, we already say it is Mohkadvesha Bhajaha, which is to entertain false notions amongst the non-believers. But in this case, so it's very interesting that vibhutis exist, and then vibhutis have these dissensions there. So Devala, he's the older brother of Dhaumyacharya, who is the Purohita of Pandavas. So my own Purohita's older brother told me that you are great. Asita is the father of Devala and father of Dhaumya. So the older brother and the father, both of them are of the same mind that you are Purushaha. Then Narada, you will remember even in Ramayana, he was also the one who described Narada Valmiki Samvada itself is how the Ramayana begins. So Narada is exceptionally well endowed in terms of understanding the supremacy of the Lord. And he wrote the Bhakti Sutra as well. And then Vyasa is the grandfather figure. You remember that, the whole entire Dhritarashtra and Pandu and then Vidura are from Vyasa. And so therefore, I am also from you. I understand that I am from you. Other people are understanding the same idea, and they are saying the same thing, and you are saying the same thing. So that's why he has brought the Asita and Devala in this discussion here. And then he says, Sarvameta dhritam manne yanmam vadasi Keshava nahite bhagavan vyaktim vidur devana danavaha, he says, which is, hey Keshava. Keshava we already know means come Isha Vartayati. So Brahma and Shiva, the person who controls them, is what is called as Keshava. You are already the controller. We have already discussed that you are Adideva and you are Aja. Mam prati yat vadasi. So what are you saying to me? Sarvam ratam manne. I agree that whatever you have said to me is completely the correct state of the situation. Ritam means yathavat. And hey Bhagavan again he is using the word Shannam Bhagavatiriam, so the one who has all the opulences in full. Tava Vyaktim. Vyaktim here means Samarthya Atishayam. So the incomprehensible, overflowing strength and power that you have. Devaha Danavascha na viduhu. Devas don't understand it. And like I said, Kaimutya, if Devas are themselves not understanding it, the Danavas for sure are not understanding it. Nahi viduhu tasmat sarvam etad ritam manne. I agree with all of these. So here is a question. Why did Arjuna use the word Devana Danavaha as opposed to saying Devana Daityaha, for example? Now, Devana Danavaha is alliteration is very nice. See, you say tick, tack, toe. The A, O, I. So these are very nice alliterative words that sound very pleasing to the ear. Deva has the A sound and then the A sound. Devana Danavaha. Like you say, Bhimarjuna, E and A. So these are all very nice and alliterative words. But more than that, it's very interesting. If you look at the whole entire Vibhuti Yoga as the chapter progresses, you will notice the Lord coming out and talking about all the wives of Kashyapa, which Deva is from Aditi, and Danava is from Danu, right? Diti would be Daityas. Then you have Surasa, who is Surabhi, who is having Kamadhuk. And then Vinata, Vainateyascha Pakshinam. And so if you look at all of these, you will see various kinds of mentions of Kashyapa and his progeny. So I invite you to take a look at it. Then Swayame Atmanatmanam Vethatvam Purushottama Bhuta Bhavana Bhutesha Deva Deva Jagatpate. In this saying, we are now saying nobody knows it. The Devas don't know it. Danavas don't know. Rishis don't know. But everyone believes that you are like really, really big. how big are you? Who will then know? If nobody knows, then nobody knows. And so Arjuna is very quick. He's saying, Swayameva atmanatmanam vethatvam purushottama. Tvam atmana atmanam swayameva vetha. Meaning, your glories, you understand it completely. This is very, very important concept. So some people will say the Lord has so much, like, you look at some very rich person, Elon Musk or somebody like that. People will say Elon Musk has a lot of money. He has a lot of money more than us. Maybe he doesn't even know how much money he has. That's not the case with our Lord. Our Lord has infinite gunas, but he has infinite capacity to understand those gunas. So therefore, the infinite capacity of the Lord is sufficient to understand the infinite gunas of the Lord, with both of them being infinite. So it's a very, very incomprehensible way, but we know that Arjuna is smart, intelligent to understand that and then include it in his stuti extemporaneously. So the Lord Arjuna is saying, Purushottama, Bhuta Bhavana, the person who has created everyone, Bhutesha, not only created everyone, but also Niyanta, Niyantrana of everyone, Devadeva, meaning you are the light of the Devas, or you are the king among kings, or Deva amongst Devas, and Jagatpate, you are the king of the whole universe. You have so many attributes. In addition to having all the attributes, you have enough power so that you can understand yourself. And so that is a very good way for Arjuna to explain. Now that he has praised all of these qualities in the Lord, Arjuna now gets down to business. In these three shlokas, he is making a prayer to understand Vibhuti in a much better way. What does he say? He says, Vaktum aharyasyeshena divyahi atma vibhutayaha yabhir vibhutibhir lokan imanstvam vyapyatisthasi. He says, Hey Purushottama, yabhihi vibhutibhihi. Tvam iman lokan hi yasmat vyapya tisthasi. You're already staying in this world with all of these vibhutis. Tasmat tad divya atma vibhuteyaha aseshena vaktum arhasi. Because you're already staying with your vibhutis in this whole entire world, I want to listen to all of these vibhutis. Please tell me. And so therefore, we now have another description of Vibhuti here that is written by Jaitirtha Muni himself, by Acharya himself, that Prakash has already says, Prakash ji, Vivudhataya Ramakrishnadi Nana Rupataya Bhutani Rupani is the Sakshat Vibhuti of the Lord. Yadva Yesham Vishnu Rupanam Sannidheha Vastushu Vishishtatvam Swayam Jatam Syat. Otherwise, you are having the Sannidhana, which makes it more Utkrishta. That is the Swajati Uttama Padakaha Rupanihi. Katham, and then he goes back again. Katham Vidya, one of the things that our teachers explain to us is, don't confuse Vibhuti and yoga. Don't confuse opulences and forms. Both of them are the same, but by Vishesha, they are different. So in this case, we are talking about the forms of the Lord, the Vibhuti forms of the Lord. Katham vidyamaham yogin stvam sada parijanchayan keshu keshu cha bhaveshu chintyosi bhagavanmaya. I now want to contemplate you because you have said Priti Purvakam, I need to contemplate you. And there is so many vibhutis. I need to know all of them so that I can contemplate well. So that's why he says keshu keshu cha bhaveshu padartheshu chintyosi iti. I want to contemplate what are all the places where I can contemplate you. And then finally, the last shloka, which is really beautiful, it says, Vistarena atmano yogam vibhutincha janardana bhuyah kathaya triptirhi shrunvato nasti me mritam. He says, I want to listen to it so much. I am never ever tired of listening to your nectarine words. And so Preeti Purvakam, I have decided I am listening to it with very great interest and with very great affection. And Truptirhi, like what Prakashji and GVG were saying, not only should it be sporadic, it has to be perpetual. I'm perpetually willing to listen to your words. And then Vibhutim Yogancha. So he has used the same words. So let me describe this in one slide. This is the last slide. One of the things that drives me a little bit crazy is there is a lot of mention there where they say that Arjuna is a Manda Adhikari. And that's what they say. I mean, like, even great people like Madhusudan Saraswati and all, they'll describe the beauty of Arjuna's questions and they say, I am dull, so therefore tell me. And what we're trying to say is, Arjuna is not a dull person. Arjuna is not a Manda Adhikari. Arjuna is an Uttama Adhikari. And when we think of Arjuna as Uttama Adhikari, we are going to be encouraged to follow his lead and then listen to what he is trying to say. We know that Arjuna is a great seeker and a sincere devotee. And look at this one shloka, the same exact shloka. Vistarena atmano yogam vibhutincha janardana bhuyak kadhaya triptirhi shrunvato nasti me mritam is an answer to all of these four attributes that the Lord has described from 1 to 10. So let me go through it very quickly and then you can think about it yourself. Look at how beautiful it is. Bhuya eva mahabaho. Listen again, is what Bhagavan Krishna is saying. And then he says, Bhuya kathaya triptirihi. Tell me again, is what Arjuna is saying. So it's so beautiful. Krishna uses a word Bhuya eva, and Arjuna says Bhuya kathaya. So listen to it again, and Arjuna is saying, tell me more again, like that. So Bhuya, it's a beautiful way of using and mimicking and reflecting, right? What is it called? Bimba Pratibimba Bhava. It's beautiful, Arjuna, how he has done it. Then this one is again something very nice. Name vidus suragana prabhavanna maharshaya aham adirhi devanam. So adirhi devanam. And so then the Arjuna has used the word janardana. Jana ardayati iti janardanaha is what Acharya has described. He doesn't have any life. He doesn't have any janma. And he takes other janmas out. So that's why he's called Janardana. So Janardana, Aham Adirhi. Adirhi and Janardana, the Repha is also very nice and the word is also very nice. Then here is another beautiful, beautiful thing. Etam Vibhutim Yogancha is what Lord has said. He is distinguishing between Vibhuti and Yoga here. And beautifully, Arjuna says the same exact thing. Vistarena Atmano Yogam Vibhutincha. So Yogam Vibhuti, Vibhutim Yogam. So he is able to mix it up and then move the cha aside. But what beautiful way he is able to look at what Krishna is saying and then ask the question in a very similar fashion. All of it very extemporaneously, mind you. And then finally, I'm saying, Teham satata yuktanam bhajatam preeti purvakam. I want you to listen to this satata, perpetually, and preeti yuktaha. And so he's so beautifully saying, Kataya triptirhi Shrunvato nasti me mritam. I'm never satisfied with this. Never satisfied meaning I'm perpetually willing to listen to you. And nasti me mritam, and I am very, very delightful in listening to you. I am very, very affectionate in listening to you. And so this one shloka, which addresses so many different parts of what Sri Krishna is saying, and being able to say it in real time, conclusively demonstrates that Arjuna is an Uttamadhikari, certainly somebody whom we need to follow. So with that, I'm going to say Shri Krishnarpanamastu and thank Madhuji and especially GVG for inviting me to comment on this. Namaskar.
So, GVG, Prakashji, and Venkatji, if you could just unmute yourself on the video, and possibly Sureshji also. So, I was going to say thank you so much. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful session. I was going to say you guys did 1 hour 45 minutes, and I think time just flew. It was so interesting and so many nuanced discussions and points. So thank you so much to all three of you. I was going to say you have actually set the scene. You made things a lot easier for the next session because you have given the basics so firmly and so beautifully. So you've set the scene for us. So yeah, we could Suresh, do you want to just open up for Q&A and coordinate any questions in the meantime? What I was going to say is, so one of the points, Venkiji, that you brought about Saligrama is really beautiful. That particular slide about Saligrama Ankanam Vamato Gatihi.
Yes.
If you don't mind, if you want to put that slide again.
Yes.
So because all of us, for us, Sunday morning is puja time, you see. Saligrama Abhisheka usually happens
Yes.
on Sunday.
Let me get that. Give me 1 second. How do I share it? Am I allowed to share now? Okay.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. So that Saligrama Anusandhana was really beautiful from Harikatha Amritasara about 5535 forms of Paramatma in the Saligrama and how Ankanam Vamato Gatihi.
Yeah.
There's a slight other angle that I wanted to share. 5 plus 5 plus 3 plus 5 is 18. So So it's
Yeah,
it's
that is
very
very
obvious.
nice.
It's Vishnu. So that is an easy way. Maybe if we don't understand the Ankana Mamatogati, 553 plus 5 also is there. And in the Pratima that you gave, 5 plus
Yes.
1, 5, 1, 3, and again the Ankana Mamatogati, I'm just again seeing 15 plus 3 there, 18. You can bring
Yes.
in 18 again in that, or you can bring 9 in that also. So the
9.
Sankhya
Yes.
is beautiful, beautiful. So thank you very much. It's a new point that I've learned today about 5535 from Harikatamrita Sara.
Yes.
That was what I was just I had to share this beautiful idea that you had brought about today. So over to you, Sureshji.
No, thank you, Madhuji, and thanks, of course, GVG, Prakashji, and Venkiji for, as Madhuji said, laying a very solid foundation. We could open it up for question and answers right now. Anybody has any specific questions to direct it to any three of them, please feel free.
Yeah, Anand.
Maybe just to get started, Prakashji, when you were saying, I mean, I was reminded of Daivi Sampati that will come in the 16th chapter, Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhi, when you're counting the gunas. So how would you, I mean, are they different, or how would we reconcile with the some characteristics that he's going to bring up much later and to some of the things that he is alluding to now?
Yeah, it's a
Any
very,
thoughts?
very thoughtful. Yeah, Abhayam is first he starts with Abhayam, right? The Daivi Asura Sampat. So, Abhayam, of course, is a very important quality, because if you have fear, that will cloud your mind and you will not be able to do anything in life, in life for that matter. But before that, I think Krishna explains in much more detail here, in the sense that why do you even get the fear? So if you have the Tattva Viveka, which is for what you should fear and what you should not fear, if you have that Viveka discrimination, that will that will be a prelude to your Abhayam. And also he says that Jnanam, next Buddhir Jnanam. So Abhayam that is Sattva Samshuddhi, that is, you should have the knowledge. That is why he says that first you have your Viveka, right? Then you will get the knowledge, and that knowledge will free you from delusion and etc. like that it goes. So I would say if you take both of them together, you will get even much more complete picture. But for contemplation, that first Viveka and then all the attributes which he's mentioning, and that's why he told that it's not only these 20 attributes, you should also have other things also. So probably other things he's going to explain in the 16th chapter. That is my understanding.
No, thanks, Prakash. It makes sense. I mean, if you have these, those 20 will come perhaps naturally as we move forward. These are more foundational to what is going to come later on, perhaps that's how at least I am understanding. Anandji, please go ahead.
First of all, thank you very much. That was a very intense session, but you made it so easy to understand. I have two comments and probably one question. The comments are, Venkiji, the Bhuya Eva, it comes even in Bhagavatam. When Parikshita asks Shukacharya, tell me more and more,
Yeah.
and that's such a beautiful thing. And GVG, Mohoyam Vigato Mama. You said it comes somewhere there, but even in 18th chapter, Arjun says, Nashto Mohaha Smritir
Smritir Labda.
Tat Prasadan Mayachyuta.
Sthitosmi Gatasana.
And Prakashji, the Maharshaya Saptapurve, Chatvaro Manavastatha, whilst he is quoting all the 7 rishis, he is only taking 4 manus instead of 6 manus. I know you said it's pradhanya,
Yeah, Pradhan.
but it doesn't really click well. What I have heard somewhere is one of the Manu was Lord himself. So
Right.
maybe he's taking himself off.
Yeah, that is actually, you bring a very good point. Actually, I forgot to mention that. It is there in, I think, in one of the Rairu Vivritti. He says that one is avatar of Lord. So that is why he's not including that avatara as part of the Manus. So you are right there. He does not include that. He says that avatara I'm specifically excluding because it is my Rupa. So it becomes obvious. I don't have to mention that. That you're right.
And also the Chakshusha Manu doesn't belong to Swayambhu
Yeah.
Parampara, isn't it?
Exactly. That's why he's saying the previous manvantara. That's why he's saying that it's previous manvantara.
And there has been so much discussion about Vibhuti, Vyapti, Sannidhi, and the 10 classifications of Vibhuti. I'm a bit confused now. When we say, so is it possible, GVG, that in any one class or one entity, let's say Jivabhutas, there can be Sannidhi, Vyapti, Vibhuti, there can be anything. So it's up to us to look at how, like Venkaji said, the spark. It's up to us to see what is it. Am I right?
Right. I mean, like, for example, if you take Saligrama as an example, you have all the three, right? So it is worthy of worship because of the special Sannidhana, right? And it is different than other stones, right? Because of the Vibhuti, right? But then Vyapti is Bhagavan is everywhere. So it counts everywhere. So that is one example where you can see all the three, right? So that is one. But there are others like what I told before, like, Stavaranam, Himalaya, whatever that was mentioned or whatever, right? Yeah, you see you are kind of, you have a feeling of like an awesomeness, right? I mean, it's majestic and all those things. But then doesn't come to us intuitively to us that it's something that is worshipable, right? So he Bhagavan by being inside gave that. So it is more of that Adhisthana getting that kind of a characteristic. That is what kind of jumps out in front of us, right?
When he says,
We know that it is a Lord enabled it, but it is the Yogita, it is the grandness of the Adhisthana is what is coming up to us. So then that is the difference, right? That's why.
when he says Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke,
Right.
that Amsha is the same, isn't it?
Correct.
But it has to be perceived as what is the intensity of that Amsha.
Right. Even though that is, it is an, in that way, I mean, also Jiva, okay, but then not all the qualities are reflected in the Pratibimba, right? And the other ones. And all the defects of the Pratibimba is not reflected in the Lord.
Thank you.
So Anand, thanks for putting that question, because that was one of the questions that I had made a note of. So the Upanishads say all everywhere, na iha nana asti kinchana. There is no internal difference between the Lord and
Yes.
his attributes. He is one and the same. So
Yes.
if you take that perspective, the presence of the Lord everywhere is the same. Yeah, and Krishna has
Yes.
made it very clear. But then why do we have to make this distinction of Vibhuti, Vyapti, Sannidhana, and so on? The way I understood this is it is from our perspective. So for us to do the upasana, to even have a glimpse or glories, and we can't know everything about the Paramatma, right? So to even have a glimpse or a grasp of what his greatness is, we can understand that through the wonderful things that we can see in the universe. Bahuchitra Jagat Bahuda Karanat Parashakti Ananta Gunaha Paramaha, as Acharya said. That is what we are trying to understand, that wonderful creatorship is how I have understood this. Because the moment we say there is a difference in the Lord, in the Vyapti, Vibhuti, Sannidhana, then from Yama's injunction, we have fallen down from that Durgam Pata. So we have fallen down from that mountain. So I think we have to be careful with that. But it is purely for our Anusandhana. But Lord is actually the same everywhere.
Yeah.
So one other way to look at it, that one is it also brings out, like if you are talking about the same category, right? And then we are saying that Bhagavan is Nirdosha. He just puts his power or whatever in measure with the Yogita of the Adhisthana, right? It brings about this Jada Jada Beda, right? Even though Jada, it is there. So it brings out Jada Jada Beda. It brings out Jiva Jiva Beda, because among many people, right, one is like an example in other ones. So it brings out these fundamental aspects also so well in this one, that Bedatva of between that all the Pancha Beda are covered here.
Thank you. That's great. Manjunath, next question, please. You raised your hand.
It's not a question. I just want to share. I've learned to raise my hand. And anyway, I want to thank all the three, because they have mentioned so much of vibhutis. And especially I loved this Kada Kanchana Dolage Shobhita. I don't know much about Lankanam Vamato Gati and all. I have understood what it is, but I don't think I can go that deep. But this word itself, Kada Kanchana Dolage Shobhita, because Kada Kanchana is so subtle, like Sattva Guna, that something has to be added to it to make it a Rupa, Murta Rupa. So Guruji has explained it so well, Kada Kanchana Dodage Shobhita, for Saligrama or anything. It just shook my, it just so subtle. I don't know how to explain, appreciate it, Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Shailesh. Neeta Shushratji, please, if you can go next.
Yeah. So yeah, no, excellent session. It was amazing. Listening to everything, very, very detailed, and including the Harikathamritsara part. Just two things, maybe not a question, but also to mention how I look at the vibhutis and the distribution is like the color palette, where you see different colors, and then the depth of each color is different, isn't it? So yes, it's pink, but some are very, very pink, or blue, or very, very deep blue. So yes, it's one color, but you've got different grades, different shades in each one. So the same in each guna or anything you look at it. I look at it like that color scheme thing. I can't share, otherwise I would have shown you like a color palette. So that's one thing. And second is, okay, we know the vibhuti. We know that Krishna is there in a particular person. For example, someone's getting a gold medal in say Olympic Games, and you see, oh wow. Instead of being jealous, you need to think this is the special attribute that God has given to that person, and that's how He's showing His presence there. So I think it's a practical way of dealing in day-to-day life. So it's not to be jealous, but actually think God's presence in a special form. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, it is,
So that's
it is very, very appropriate.
yes.
So, Neetaji, one to go the previous speaker as well. So you see how we typically have this thing where we objectify a person, isn't it? So objectifying a person is pratima. The person is God, and we are objectifying him, and then objectifying has such a bad connotation. The vibhuti is the reverse of it. It's personifying of an object. So adhisthana is there. There is a personification of the Lord inside the adhisthana. So it's like turning the concept on its head. The personification of an object is the vibhuti. Objectification of a person is the jada pratima. So that is one point which might help us think about vibhuti as we go along. The second thing which I thought about was this Kala Kanchana Dolage Shobhipa Aditeyasya. It's, all Harikathamritsara shlokas are like that. When you look at it, it's sort of like really, really, really takes a very complicated concept and makes it very relatable. And so that is one of the beauties of it. And the third thing which I wanted to say, I think there was a discussion between Saligrama and Pratima. Actually, you can have a Saligrama Pratima, right? So this is like a Vibhuti amongst the Vibhutis, like a Vibhuti square actually. So because like Bhagwan Krishna's idol here in New Jersey or in Udupi is a Saligrama Pratima. So the Saligrama itself has now become a Pratima. So can you imagine how much amount of Vibhuti Rupa might be there when we go into this Udupi Kshetra, right? And so doing the numericals, Madhuji, I did it very quickly. 5535 plus 513 is actually 6048. When you add them up, it still comes out to be 18. So this is like this weird situation where the Vibhuti Rupas are, that's the reason why I said Arjuna, Dhananjaya fighting with Chitraratha is one thing. A Pratima made of Saligrama is another thing, where you have this what we call in Harikathamritsara Samsleshana and Visleshana, the joining and the unjoining. So Khanda Rupas are individually different, but this is Samsleshana Vishleshana is, it's the joining and unjoining with the material being the same. So it's a very interesting concept of not only having a stone, having a pratima, and then the pratima being a saligrama, the vibhuti is all kinds of great. So I wanted to just point that out, and the numerology was just jumping at me.
The Ananteshwara temple in, Ananta Padmanabha temple in Trivandrum. It's full of Shaligramas.
Yeah.
How many thousands? And yeah. There are
Yeah.
thousands and thousands of shaligramas. Shalagrama, sorry. Banerjee clearly says
Shalagrama.
it's shalagrama and not shaligrama.
It is
Shalagrama.
it's not a
Shalagrama is
Shalagrama
the correct
Shila.
one.
Yeah,
Shila.
Shalagrama Shila is not. It's not a Shalagrama Shila. They have mixed. They made a mixture out of by grinding the Shalagrama with some herbs, and then that paste is applied over a wooden idol. Actually, it's not a Shalagrama idol itself.
Okay. Where?
In Trivandrum.
Okay.
Trivandrum. Okay.
Yeah, and in fact, Vadiraj Tirthuru in his Tirtha Prabandha, when he talks about the last Prabandha, the last slokas are about the Anantapatmana Swami temple. He talks about the Pratima. And then there are three gates to that doors to that that deity. So he talks about, it brings in Upanishad and all there. He said that Shravana Manana, Nitidhyasana, that indicates the three things. Then Tridhama, like that. Many things Vadiraj Tirthuru brings, when he talks about that place. Just it, I remember that.
No, thank you. Wonderful. Any other questions?
I want to go back to Neetaji's comment. I think it's kind of comment about she kind of touched upon one aspect that I wanted to mention. I didn't, so I'm glad that she brought it up. About okay, we have heard about all of this vibhuti and all of those things. It is basically a personalization of that message, right? And why she brought out beautifully in our own daily life when we see somebody excel, right? Like in the Olympic Games or something like that, something extraordinary happens to an individual, right? At least with this, we have to kind of attribute that one. Hey, at that time, the Lord's presence was special, right? That made it possible, right? And that way, so that way we can kind of start relating whenever we see like this. That is one way of kind of, getting Shastra into our head or in our mind, right? Even in a day-to-day stuff. So in our own lives or whatever, right? Everybody has this 15-minute fame, right? At some point, we have done something extraordinary or whatever. We feel so good about it, right? We feel great and all of those things. At least at that moment, if we can start saying that, thank God you made it possible, right? You were there for me at that time in a special way to make that one happen and then give me that satisfaction or give me the anubhava of that experience. So I feel you, Lord. Thank you, right? If we can kind of get that one in our lives from this one, so I think that will be a great learning that we can implement in our daily life. So I just wanted to share that one. So thanks for that was a beautiful point. Thanks for bringing it up.
In fact, just only one thing to add to that is he talks about Dhamma, Shama when he talks about the 20 things. Dhamma, Indriya Nigraha. That is also controlling your jealousy or something like that, right? Dhamma. Shama is seeing the Vibhuti Rupa of God in that person, like what you said, So he sets the tone for that. In order to see God, you should have that quality. Otherwise, that quality is given by God. So you cannot see that goodness in other people. That's I wanted to touch upon that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring that up. Thank you, Prakash.
Thank you. Any other question? It's difficult to stop, but I'm just wondering. I mean, any other questions from anybody else? If not, I think we are coming to the end of this session. Excellent session, GVG, Prakashji, and Venkiji. I think we will need some time to digest a lot of information that we have, a lot of learnings in this session, and appropriately, perhaps in 4 weeks' time, we'll come back with examples and how this chapter concludes and moves on to chapter 11. So thank you all. And with that, we will close today's session. And next week onwards, we'll be back with Mathuji for the continuation of the Upanishads class. Thank you all.
Sureshji, thank you very much. Do you want to recite Om and close today's session?
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you, Sureshji. And can I make a very brief announcement for next week? So next Sunday, of course, we carry on with the Aitareya Upanishad. So as you know, this is between 3 and 4:15, and at 4:15 we have a very exalted person who is going to join us at 4:15. I just want to mention that and request folks to stay on next Sunday. So next Sunday 4:15 we have Shivarama Swami Maharaj from Hungary who wants to talk to us. So Shivarama Swami Maharaj is quite an quite a renowned Swamin in the ISKCON, direct disciple of Prabhupada, and he's a great disciple, and he runs the Krishna Valley in Hungary. So he wants to talk to us, the Hindu Knowledge Academy group, about a very, I think it's a very noble project, a health center that they are creating in Krishna Valley, and he wants to just talk to us about that. So I was going to request all of us to stay on after the Upanishad Chinthana just to hear the Swami speak, and hopefully we will be able to contribute something to that project as well. So that was one announcement I wanted to make. So on that note, thank you very much, everyone. And again, thank you so much for Venkiji, GVG, and Prakash. It was an amazing session. Lots to learn. And we'll pick up from actually leads very nicely into the Aitareya next mantras. So we will discuss next Sunday. Okay, on that note, Hare Krishna. Stay safe, everyone. Take care.
Hare Krishna.
So we will send our respective slides to Suresh ji for compiling. Who is compiling? We will just send it to that person.
Yeah,
You can send it to me, Ji.
Okay,
No.
great. We'll do that.
Thank
All
you,
right.
everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hare Krishna.